Welcome to Cold Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Cold Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 31. And today we're going to talk about bouncing back. And this is so important because, we're all going to have ups and downs in our lives, personally, professionally. We're going to have, they're not going to be all ups in life, and there also won't be all downs in life. So that's the first note to make a point of, is that when you're in a down season, just know there's never been a double night, right? Joy has to come in the morning, right? So, if you look at the stock market over 100-year period, I always love sharing this. You'll notice if you step back that it's going in a straight uptrend. 100 years, completely going straight up. But if you come closer and you look at it from a chapter perspective, like a piece of it, you'll see a bunch of up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's kind of how our lives are. It's like you can't look at you can't look at chapter 2 and think that you'll be in chapter 2 forever. Eventually you get to chapter 8, right? And things are better, right? And so those are just some things to keep in mind, is that there's never been a double night. Joy comes in the morning, right? After rain comes sunshine. After bad comes good. So here's what really helped me, because I've had lots of downtimes. I've had lots of bounce back seasons. I remember a time where I was really trying to build my business and get it rolling, and my car broke down. Then I had to get another car. That car wasn't the greatest car at all, but I really didn't have a whole lot to get a new car. So I had to just do what I had to do. I mean, the steering wheel was horrible. It leaked steering fluid. And just imagine having to turn the car really hard because it was running out of steering wheel fluid. Some of you guys may have been there. Maybe you haven't. But I'm telling you, I can tell you story after story after story of these situations and challenges that I've been through, right? And then the car caught on fire, right? While I was on a way to an appointment with a client, And so, and by the way, if you guys know me, even with the car catching on fire, and this was on the highway too. I mean, don't get me wrong. It started smoking first, and then I pulled over, and then it started to kind of catch on fire a little bit. And I pulled over. And I made it to that appointment, right? Because I'm just resilient. I'm relentless when it comes to getting things done. And so, I had the car towed back to the house. But my point is, I've had seasons. I've had lots of down seasons. And sometimes you may feel like you're taking those 3 steps forward and then taking 10 steps backward. And it's like, what in the world is going on? But I want you to know it's part of the process. I also want you to know that you're going to make it through it. There's a happy ending on the other end. It's a fixed fight. You're already scheduled to win. Your success is already scheduled for you to happen. You just got to endure the process. It's kind of like, when you're making glass, it has to go through the fire. I've been blessed to kind of see, a glass pot or something like that being made. And it's interesting how it has to be shaped and molded, but it has to go through that fire. It has to go through a certain process for it to have, but it's like everything, what's a butterfly without getting through the caterpillar phase? You know what I mean? So all those things are necessary. All those things are important. So, but really what helps me with these down times is understanding the seasons and how to move throughout those. So that's kind of what I want to cover with you today is how do we get through certain seasons of life? Because just like we have our winter, we have our spring, our summer and fall, in the natural, we have those same things in our lives, right? We can have those same types of seasons in our businesses. We can have those same types of seasons in relationships. So, everything is all relatable. So let's just say you're in a winter season and times are really, really hard. and nothing seems to be going right. It's like, how they say Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And you just feel like you just can't catch a break. Well, what I've learned is in that season, it's a great time for planning. It's a great time for reflection, seeing what did I do? What could I have done better? I don't even want to say what did I do wrong. It's what could I have done better? Because language is everything. So also check your language. Don't make sure you're not saying woe is me and start downplaying yourself. Because guess what? It's just a season. And it's not always your fault that you got to this season. Sometimes it just happens, right? And so it's a time for planning. Like, what's your next move? What are you going to do to get out of this thing? Right. And then in my business, particularly, I've learned because I've had those down seasons, I've learned to sow more seeds in those seasons because, one of my mentors says you can create an artificial spring in the wintertime just by sowing more seeds because the birds can't get all the seeds. The thorns can't get all the seeds. The stony ground can't get all the seeds. So at some point you sow enough seeds, it has to fall on good ground. And once it falls on good ground, then you're going to have 30, 60, and 100, right? So, just keep that in mind that it is a process, even when you get to the good ground. But that's a great way that I've learned to get out of a winter season, so to speak. And I believe that can really transfer into every area, every facet of life. But that's kind of how you want to operate in a winter season. Then, once you get out of the winter season, you can start seeing spring starting to come. How do you know when spring is coming? It's because when at this point, you're starting to see opportunities open up. You're starting to see things happen, right? And so this is a time where you want to start planting seeds. Like you want to plant like crazy. And you were already doing that. That's how you got out of the winter season is you were planting, planting, planting. You were sowing those seeds and now you created a spring season for yourself, right? I mean, and again, this can be in any level. So we're talking about, let's say, relationships, and you're in a bad season. What activity can you take with your relationship to make sure that you move from a winter season to a spring season? Can you say, I love you more? Can you show I love you more, right? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to show it, right? There's all kind of different things you can do, and we'll talk more about that on some future episodes. But but again, we're now in the spring season. It's time to plant like crazy because guess what? You're gonna move into the summer season. And now this season is very important because this is the season where you have to almost protect like a mother. I'm sorry, protect like a father, but nurture like a mother, right? So in this season, you got to beware of the weeds that are going to come to try to choke up what you've already planted. You got to beware of the bugs that are coming and the weather where the sun might try to scorch out the seed that you've sown. And so this is a time where you got to be very protective. You got to be looking at it. You got to cultivate what you've already planted so that it makes it into the spring season. And once you get to the spring season, it's harvest time, baby. But check this out. That's where the real work begins. You thought you were working in spring season. You thought you were working in summer season trying to protect. Listen, this is where the real work begins because you got to get all that harvest there. Once you raise up um, and once you have an opportunity and you start to grow it and expand it, now you have and you protect it, right? Now you have to really maintain it and then advance it to a whole nother level, right? So this is a season where you really start to um, you just got to go all in because you gotta grab up all the seeds. I mean, all the harvest. You got to grab up everything that you planted because guess what? At some point, the winter time is coming again, and you got to know it. After opportunity comes disaster, but after disaster comes opportunity. You got to understand that they're simultaneous. So, the ants, I would say think like the ants. Ants think winter when it's summer and they think summer when it's winter. They're constantly thinking about the two, right? So they're working, working, working. There is no day off. There is no season off, right? We're always working. Either we're in the winter season, we're planting, we're in the spring season, we're planting, We're in the summer season where we're protecting, or we're in the fall where we're starting to pull up that harvest and we're starting to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor because you earned it. And here's a very important note, too: be okay with celebrating your harvest because you earned it. But if the harvest is not what you wanted, then also don't complain about it, because guess what? You had control over it. You always have control. The magic, I'm sorry, the key is in your hand. You have that control. So I just want to share these seasons with you, because if you understand it and you know how to move through each season, it makes it a little easier. It makes it a little better. You can already start to identify what season you're in. You can look at how life is right now and maybe kind of get a picture of what this season is right now and start to apply some of these things I just talked about and learn how you can move into your next season. Right. And guess what I love about this? Each season you can get better and better because you're like, oh, I've been here before. I know exactly what to do because I did it in the last season. And the goal is that each season gets better. So you get to a point where your winter seasons are not as bad, right? Where your downs are not as, it's funny because I often joke, but when I'm in my winter season, my winter seasons are not as bad as they used to be. Put it like this: my downs are higher than my ups used to ever be. Meaning that when I had up seasons, um, they were up and it was great. But now when I have a down season, it's better than some of my ups used to be 10 years ago, if that makes sense. So I'm just saying that to say that each season you want to get better and better and better, or sometimes I joke and say gooder and gooder, right? Gooder and gooder, right? So, but I know it's not really a word, but I made it up. But the point is, every season you can get better. Every season you can say, look, how did I do? And then you can go back into that winter season, plan, do, and review, and just make a difference so that the next season doesn't have to be like the last season. So I hope you guys got some value from this. Feel free to share it. Look, I love the 5 stars on for rating us. Appreciate you guys for doing that, and continue to, if you haven't done it already, go and give us a 5-star rating. We love that. Tag me on Instagram. My handle is at Eddie Bales Jr. And I'm just excited because I know that you guys are going to get lots of value and you are going to get where you need to go. Everything you've been waiting for is coming. It's on its way. You just got to believe it. You just got to believe it, and then you will achieve it. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Never forget that. But you got to see it first, and you got to be willing to go through the process. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.